Might come back later on.
Okay.
So I hope it's not ridiculously loud, but today I am out and about and the local speedway happens to be active, and I thought it would be the perfect time to use the final roll on this shitty, awful, terrible film camera. Now if you stay tuned, I'll tell you why you shouldn't buy a camera like this. First of all, what is this camera? This here is an APS film camera. So it records with APS film instead of standard 35mm film. APS film was developed by Kodak and was designed to supplant 35mm film. But APS film didn't overtake 35mm for a few reasons. One of those reasons was the lower image quality. You actually get a smaller negative than standard 35mm film. The second was these basically semi-digital cameras. What I mean by semi-digital is that they are electronic, and that means that you don't have as much control as manual cameras, and there was heaps of manual cameras out there, ones of very high quality that professionals would prefer to use. So it's 2024, APS is gone and 35mm still exists. So I could go over the reasons why APS failed versus 35mm, but plenty of people have done them and I've already basically summarized it. So why should you not buy APS now? And well, one of the main reasons is, as I mentioned earlier, these are semi-digital cameras, they are electronic. And they will fail. In fact, I'm holding it right now because a bit of the plastic has cracked and I have no idea if it's leaking light or not into the camera, so I'm just holding that plastic bit. I completely forgot about the crack that had appeared a few days ago, and most likely there's a good chance that the crack has let the light in and the photos I've just taken are useless, or at least really badly damaged by the light leak, but it's too early to tell just yet. The other main reason why you don't want to go ahead and buy APS film these days is the film was basically marketed at consumers. Consumers don't generally keep film frozen. And well, that means that any film out there has generally not been kept in good conditions, and then you have to try expose and compensate for longer to go ahead and get an exposure because the sensitivity of the film has been reduced. And you can do that with this camera here, but I can tell you right now from the 3 photos that I took back home in Wellington, doesn't really do that well. The film's pretty cooked, even though this film here was kept in the freezer. So even still, the film's generally not kept in a good condition, and even if it is, it's very hard to find, and just because it's being kept in a freezer doesn't necessarily mean it's any good. And we'll see that with this photo here. Generally when you buy expired film, if it's 35mm film, there's a good chance that it may have been kept frozen, and you can find heaps of frozen film on eBay or even Facebook Marketplace, but you just generally will not find APS film frozen. And that means that the very limited supply of it is basically not that usable. And when you have it with a camera that you can only use with a film a few times, I bought 3 of these APS films for this camera. Once I've used up that film, the camera is pretty dead and useless. This camera here does not work with any of my other systems. It doesn't really work with any digital cameras out there. The one digital camera out there that it does work with is, again, a camera that will fail just like this one will. So if you're going to shoot APS, it's more a gimmick, and that's one of the reasons why I went ahead and shot APS, was to shoot it as a gimmick, to see how it is. Don't let your FOMO go too far like I have, for cameras that you're not going to have long-term usage for. So I got to work here trying to actually use this remote setup. Now, this was the first time I'd actually ever used the remote setup out of the 3 rolls that I had. It didn't work that effectively. Now, if you've ever been old enough to use a TV remote, you would know that they don't work very well in bright sunlight, and I suspect that is because they use some form of infrared light. And of course, outdoors has a lot of infrared light, and it was interfering. This was a bit of an issue that I had quite often when I was trying to use this lens, when I was trying to use this camera. But if you had it a bit more in the shade, it probably works a little bit better. So it's been almost a year since I was last working on this video. That's how much these cameras fucking suck. I could go on and on, but just generally I've kind of already iterated in some deranged form already. I've got about 8 shots left, and the camera does have one really cool feature that I do want to try before throwing it away. Let me put my drink down. And that is this. This here is a remote. Now, digital cameras do have remotes and you can come across them, but very few film cameras have them. And in particular, this is something that a few 90s point and shoots had, and this camera had. So, in theory, I've put it onto a remote, and I should be able to go ahead and do a self-portrait. So let's see if I can. now. I don't know how those photos looked, but as much as I hate this camera, I do like this, especially the 2-second button. That's just really handy. It's just much easier and more comfortable to just go like this, put your hand where you need to, hide it away, and you just don't actually have to do too much. Much easier than a 10-second timer or any current workaround for getting film cameras to fire wirelessly. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's gonna hold right. Let's quickly pop down. Okay, I think that might work. Tell you're waiting for me, you've been so kind, thank you. Okay, let's see if that worked. We have no idea. Couldn't really hear anything, it's so windy here in Wellington, often. So, had 3 photos left. Oh. That didn't work at all. Still 3 photos. Well, that's wonderful. Let's try that again. So whilst I was doing this, I just wasn't too sure if it was working at all. I couldn't see the lens mirror aperture move, none of that. There was nothing that indicated to me, so it was a bit of back and forth trying to get it working, running around and hoping no one tried to steal my shit when I wasn't near it. Not that that's ever happened before, but I did get this photo eventually. So I've always wanted to be up here, so might as well go ahead and take this photo. So again, I had the issue here where the camera didn't fire when I wanted it to. It wasn't very easy to tell. As cool as this remote trigger is, there are better options available, and I'll be showing one of them to you next year. You know, now that I'm done with this camera, I can go over some of its just fucking shit features and reasons why it failed. I mean, the most common one is just simply is very electronic. You had to replace your gear, the gear wasn't as good. I mean, those are kind of common ones, but for me, what I think really came down to the fact that it was a failure was that it tried to reinvent photography when film photography didn't need reinvention. Case in point, if you're going to have all these digital features, you should have the ability to remember stuff. If you change your settings to timer or to the remote control, it should be kept and not just automatically go default back. The other thing too was, a lot of the timestamps and a lot of this technology didn't go past, a certain year. So were they really thinking about the future of technology and the future of film? Were they really thinking about the future of technology and the future of film when they decided to implement this? And then also adding on to promises that really didn't mean anything was the fact that you've got a panoramic mode, you've got a slightly cropped mode, which I think is 4:3, and then you've got your H mode, which is like 16:9. The fact is that it still takes the whole fucking photo, even if it's the pano mode, and the coding goes in, I think, if I understand it correctly, and that coding just says to the scanner to scan it a certain way, but it's not actually shot that way. And film isn't fully about intentionality. You are allowed to make mistakes in film and make unintentional ones. Sometimes it becomes artwork, sometimes it's just utter trash, but I think for the most part film is 80%, 90% about intention. And how can you have intention if you can't actually make this a real thing and just make it something that you do in post? So yeah, there's just heaps and heaps of features where this camera here just fails, and it's not just this camera, it's the whole format. And I've never really sat on a camera for an entire year not photographing it because it's a shit camera or because the system's just terrible. So if you're thinking of going out there and getting an APS-C camera, don't. Just don't. It's not worth the experimentation. There isn't anything greater to gain. There are heaps of cooler, weirder cameras out there and systems. The APS-C is not one of them, and there's a reason why it was left in the dust. That is all I have to say on the matter. This is my third and final roll. All my shots were shot on supposedly frozen film, and it still looked terrible. So if you've got hold of frozen film and it still looks like shit, yeah, it probably says something about the entire fucking format, or at least kind of. Anyway, that's my rant done and over with. As always, it's been real, guys. Until next time, but next time we're going to include this piece of shit.